Right, music's just stopped, so bore da, sud a'ch chi, down, diolch, gwelwch yn dda. Just a few words in Welsh, they don't. Bore da, good morning, sud a'ch chi, how are you? Land of the Dragon, another dragon, like that one, that's the Chinese dragon, but I grew up partly in Wales, in North Wales. It has a red dragon on its flag, one of the Celtic nations. So basically England is surrounded pretty much, the English are surrounded by the Celts. So I'm in Cornwall. Cornwall is a Celtic nation, Cerno, and Wales is a Celtic nation, Scotland is a Celtic nation, Ireland is a Celtic nation, and the Isle of Man is a Celtic nation. Also Brittany in France is a Celtic nation. And I will put up a little flag when I post this later to say that I'm posting it, of the Celtic nations. And what I didn't know, and I don't know everything, but also northern Portugal and some other regions as well are also Celts, so there's a lot more about than I knew. So you learn something new every day, which is great. I like to learn, I like to know things. I haven't got my diary out yet, but that's my point of reference, so that I kind of try not to miss the stuff. And yeah, I might be a yoga teacher, but you can have a little treat, and I'm going to eat that at some point, like whilst we're talking, just so that it doesn't go to waste, because otherwise it'll go stale. So I'm going to eat it. And I've also got my cafetiere of fresh brewed coffee on the go as well, and I add cinnamon to it, so it's good for inflammation. Yeah. It's actually like reasonably warm out there today, so I'm going short sleeves I think, but me being me, I will take my pack. I've got a variety of clothing so I can adapt for the very changeable weather as it is in the UK. I've got a long sleeve shirt, I've got a hoodie in black as well. I like black because it retains the heat. So yeah, and I think I'm going to go this hat today, but I was also contemplating on going that hat, but that might be a bit big, as in it's just gonna take people's heads off, so it's probably best not taking people's heads off, are you? That's something in the May and probably don't lose your head. It's Sheba and Hunapoo. So that's one of the sort of stories that May and children were told. Don't pop your head out too early if shit's going down, because you get your head chopped off, which is basically what happens to Hunapoo. The male, there's the hero twins, Hunapoo and Sheba, and Hunapoo basically had his head chopped off, and Sheba, good as she is, she replaced his head with a different head, like a fake head, and they won that trial as well. So their stories are very different, but they're told in a way that people will understand, a lot of metaphors. It's a good one. Don't lose your head as well. So I did lose my head. So my ring that was a snake, that represents Kundalini awakening, yeah, I knew it was getting a bit loose and its head's fallen off. But don't lose your head, I'll get a replacement at some stage, when I'm in India doing my YTT, which Devon and Cornwall Police are going to pay for when they finally sort themselves out. Anyway, moving on from that. My diary, if you haven't seen any sort of posts, let's just get that out. This is basically how it's ended up at the end of this week. It's it starts off slow and then it ends up like that, and there's lots of overwriting done, but it's just to give me points of reference to what to talk about. And I've already factored in next week one reason not to live in the UK, and this is an unarguable fact: climate. The weather's so changeable here, no one ever knows what they're doing. And trust me on this, it is going to get colder. So climate change, a lot of people think it's going to get warmer because of climate change. It's not. It's actually going to get colder in the UK. Don't take my word for it. Go and look at people who know what they're talking about, and that's their area of that's their specialism. It's not my specialism. I just do my research, and I know it's going to get colder in the UK, and I don't like being cold. In fact, I hate being cold, which is why I don't intend on living in the UK. And like many people who coach breathwork, in particular, there's not many people who coach breathwork who actually live in the country they were born in. One such person was Julia Mick, who I attended. She's originally from Estonia, she now lives in the States, and I attended a breathwork session live from Spoons Beer Garden in the week. She's great. She's essentially, she does lots of different things, but she's essentially a psychic facilitator. So for those of you who don't believe in psychic abilities, it is actually a thing and it is real. And I've even been given homework from her. I completed the first part. I don't need guidance, by the way. I am my own guide. Hence, I am a yoga teacher. That is the path I've chosen. So when there's breathwork coaches from around the world and me live from Spoons Beer Garden, remember the fact that I am technically homeless and live out of my van full time. You'll find a lot of yoga teachers actually live either in vans or on boats on moorings and things like that, because they stay out of the system, because it's the smart choice. But I attended the meeting with Julia and a number of other breathwork coaches, practitioners from around the world. And there's one thing which makes me stand out besides what I wear and the fact that I've travelled so much and basically became, what's the right word? I've thrown myself into other cultures and learnt about other cultures. But one of the things which separates me from pretty much every other breathwork coach in the world is my nervous system regulation. There aren't many of us out there who can do it. I am one of them, and I was never instructed in that. It was self-taught. It was without me even knowing about it. It was the way that I was breathing and regulating my breath, which allows me to not lose my shit, not lose my head with people. One such example of that would be this morning. I'd already been out early, as I do, so it was about 5 a.m. this morning. I went out and about for my morning walk. My feet have recovered since my food run on Thursday with a massive heavy pack, probably about 30 kilos, I guess, and it was wet, not surprising. And try not to lose my train of thought, hang on a minute. Yeah, so I came back, that will go on to this morning, so sorry, yeah. So I did that on Thursday, so I've got cupboards with food again, which is great, and I am very grateful for that, because it's keeping me alive, and we'll go on to that in a minute. But this morning I've been out, gone for my walk, because you never know what you might find on the street, like when you go out early, especially after a Friday or Saturday night when people are intoxicated and they've been out. And I found this, and it says, let's take this, lion bone. I'm a Leo, and we've got that, and so it would have just gone in the bin otherwise, so I've picked that up. That's another spare lighter for me, a spare clipper, and it's one that I like, which is awesome. And so I've come back with that. I've already topped it up with gas, so this is I've got my Zippo as my main. I've got a backup lighter in my bag, and this is my backup. So always have a plan A, B, C, D and E. Likewise, I got my vape juice and pods replaced at the Salvation Army, and much the same as in firearms, check your mags, have spares. So my vape juice, I've got several spares in my pack, so I've got about 3 spares in there, 3 mags, so if I run out of vape, because I'm going out into Muggle world today, I can top up. So it's always a good idea to have a backup. Because nicotine, as I've said before, it gets your creative juices flowing. It's really good for focus, and it's good for, like, actually it elevates your heart rate, but me being me, I can regulate that too, so it's not a problem. Speaking of which, let's get some coffee on the go. I haven't brushed my teeth yet, I'm always honest, because I didn't see the point, because I'm going to have coffee, and I'll brush my teeth just before I go out. Perfect. Right, so, and I have to, twisting's really good for you, by the way. So this is like a perfect setup. So even sat still, I'm technically doing some very gentle exercise and just twisting my spine. Got some honey in there. And some cinnamon. Good for inflammation. Now, I could put oat milk in it, but I don't have a lot of oat milk, so I reserve that. I had a smoothie this morning with berries, because I ran out of the blueberry and raspberry sort of mix that I'd normally have. But I picked up some fresh blueberries and fresh raspberries from, I say fresh, they were literally going out of date and on offer at the food bank. So I've had a banana, blueberry, raspberry, oats, cacao and chia seed smoothie this morning. Now I've got my coffee. And that is bloody lovely. So there we go. Right, moving on. Loads to get through. So Muggles, non-magical people who do not know the way of the universe. They I'm just telling you what yoga teachers are thinking. They just won't say it because they're trying to be polite with people. People who do not appreciate things, people who do not have manners, people who feel that they can just blurt out shit at you basically for absolutely no reason whatsoever. So my van sliding door was open, South African flag draped, flying down from it to give me some privacy. Music on really quite low level, so I wasn't disturbing anyone, even though it's way past the time that I can actually crank it up. And I just hear this woman's voice just going, "It's high time you move on," and just shouting at me like I've done absolutely nothing to her. If she'd have taken the time to read the sign on the window, she'd have seen that this is a peaceful protest against Devon and Cornwall Police, until they pay me the compensation which they owe me. So there you go. Anyway, this is another top tip. I am the bad boy of yoga, so if you get someone like that and it stresses you out at all, fuck it out. It's for want of a better word. Kegel exercises, thrusting. Probably don't do that hard with your partner if it can damage them. But just air thrust. Like probably not in front of that person either, because they'll be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" But go into some privacy and just thrust like fuck. Just get some aggression out, you know. It works and it'll make you laugh as well at the same time. So laughter is a great medicine. Right, where else are we going? Monday, IT. The reason I don't like IT, it fails, or there's shit which happens. So an appointment was booked in. I got that very late notification on Sunday evening. I'd stepped out of my van for 2 seconds because otherwise I wouldn't have got the message or the signal. And I had a message that there was a restart, which is an offshoot of Department of Work and Pensions meeting up at the university at 9 a.m. the next day. So I prepared for that evening, got all my stuff together. I knew that there wouldn't be a train ticket coming, and I can't drive there because I haven't got any fuel. That's part of the reason why I'm static here. And so I prepared for it and basically walked tabbed to the university, taking a change of clothing so that I could freshen up when I got there. Arrived in plenty of time, freshened up, had time for a photograph and a chat with some students, and then went for my meeting. Won't go into basically that was due to an IT error. That meeting shouldn't have happened, but I had a message come through, so I prepared for it and I went up there. So we did have a meeting, and one of the questions that was asked to me, and I made a note on Monday, is what is your main focus? And it's because I don't, even though I'm homeless, I'm quite clearly not like a normal homeless person, if you like. So what is your main focus? And I responded to, and this was straight off the cuff, and I like working like this. It's a little bit, when I'm off the cuff, I actually work better, or my responses are better than when I plan them almost. And I actually said, well, I would have to say my main focus, my main priority is keeping myself alive, sourcing food. And this little wry smile appeared on her face, and she was just like, yep. Because people forget that I'm actually homeless due to circumstances, and that being Devon and Cornwall Police and what I used to do. And if I'm honest about that, I cannot get employment. And plus I don't want to work for someone else anyway, because I'm more intelligent and I usually have a better idea than what they do. And I trust myself. So, so later on that day, I'd done the meeting, then I walked back, done a few other bits, but there was a load of college students, young women, on the grass verge opposite my van. So I walked past and opened my van door and got in. And there was, what had made me smile when I was walking past was everyone was doing stuff like, as you know, what they've been told to do. And there was one young woman, and she made me smile because she had her head screwed on. Everyone's doing stuff. She was just like, no, I'm just going to diz about. So she was like pirouetting around the place, basically, just doing what she wanted to do. And staying out of the way, staying out of all the, too many hands, too many cooks spoil the broth. She was staying out of it and just pirouetting about, and that made me smile. And I was like, I like this girl, she's funny. And anyway, I got in my van, and she just shouts over from similar heights over at the grass verge, and she just shouts over to me, I like your van, sir. Oh, I love your van, sir. I love your van, sir. And I just turned around to her and I went, thank you very much. And anyway, and we just started this shouting match across the grass verge with all the other students just like, what's going on? And me and her were just shouting across at each other. And it becomes apparent that she's like, you know, a little different like me. And so I've wandered over, I had a quick chat. And she shouted over as well, I want to live in a van. And I'd shouted back, good plan, you won't pay rent, you won't pay mortgage, and you won't have council tax. It's a great plan. And I said, and try and go self-employed if you can. Anyway, the college tutors heard all this, and so I'm in my van, and I've started to make some homemade hummus, and I'm chopping chilies. And the next thing I know, this college student's just appeared in the slide, like not in the van, but by the side of the sliding door, because I haven't actually put the flag down at this point. And I'm like, oh, you all right? And she's just like, yeah. And she just wants to have a chat. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, she said, I've been told I'm not allowed to get in your van. And I'm like, it's probably a good idea. Yeah, that is a good idea. And I'm fully aware that the college tutor is, she's keeping an eye on us anyway. She's keeping an eye on what's going on. So it's all good. There's someone beeping, getting aggro outside. That's a Muggle thing. Be patient with people, and shit sorts itself out. But so we're having a chat. We have a chat about lots of things. I'm not going to talk about what in particular, because that was a private conversation between me and the young woman. But I gave her some advice on van life, and a number of other things which hopefully she'll take on board and might help her in life. One thing that I do know what name was called out by another student to her, and this again made me laugh. Someone called a name out to her, and she just turned around and went, that's not my name. And that made me laugh as well. I was just like, you tell him. So yeah, I like this girl, she's fun. And I think she'll do well in life. I also, on a walk, bumped into, this happens all the time now, I bump into South Africans, into a guy who'd just been given a bike, which he's now going to turn into an electric bike. Now, he's ex-Navy, used to work on subs in the South African Navy, and he's seen me actually. I haven't actually noticed him because I've been engaging with other people at the Sally Army. He lives in a tent, and we're having a chit chat and a walk, and yeah, again, another really nice guy. And I saw him on Thursday at the food run in Penryn as well. So yeah, and there's another South African guy opened up a chutney shop. So I actually had a little sample. It was the first time I'd had cheese in ages. I love cheese, and been and had a chat with him as well. And he just said, "Yeah, happy travels," and we fist bumped each other. So I just get on with South Africans, basically. Straight talkers. Yeah, it's good. No bullshit. I've made loads of little notes about tunes I've been listening to or albums. One album is called On Being. It's an album by Max Cooper, an amazing music producer. Max Cooper and James Holden. What I would say is some of their stuff, it's more IDM, intelligent dance music. It's stuff which will make your mind drift, so definitely do not listen to it whilst you're driving, because you won't probably end up paying attention to what's going on the road, and that would not be safe. Other things I've made notes on: try rest legs up today. This was on Wednesday. I got up at 4:20. Well, I was up before 4:25, and I whacked on a Latin workout playlist. It's about 2.5 hours long, 2 hours 35 minutes, and did a Latin workout. Made another note: too much cardio, but I can definitely throw LV about. Yeah, definitely too much cardio, but I enjoy it, so that's what I'm doing at the minute. What else did we do? Then I also had a 3-hour walk that day. I've also planned next week's YouTube, because future planning is good. On Thursday, I'd already done this like the week prior. This is neuroscience, so I had I'm not getting paid for any of this, by the way, but neuroscience, something which I've got an interest in, and I have a basic understanding of it. And it was something which I used to date a neuroscientist actually, and excuse me, something which I do have a keen interest in, how the brain works. And I was on a Tony Robbins summit, and through that I had met numerous other people who are all attempting to create something, their version of what they can do to help people in the world. And this is online, but I did actually meet a neuroscientist who basically offered me a free course. Because I've had that much going on, because I'm not generating any income whatsoever, I basically let that one go. But I do have a basic understanding, and I've made notes of it. So A, B, C and D. A is analyse, B is organise, C is sense, and D is explore. And these are the portions of the brain. So the left and the right hemisphere of the brain are different. Try and keep it really basic in my explanation. So you've got the masculine side of the brain and the feminine side of the brain. And I don't mean this disrespectfully, but most people's brains do not function correctly. They have either too much masculine or too much feminine, and that's unbalanced. So when your brain is functioning properly, and mine does, and that is part of pineal gland decalcification, it means that your brain is operating as it should do. It's bringing in both the masculine and the feminine side. So the feminine side, very much for me, is the artistic side, the holistic side, synthesizing, imaginative and conceptualizing. That's the D quadrant. And C is sense, which is interpersonal, emotional, spiritual, musical, and a talker. So that's the feminine side of the brain. The masculine side is all about organisation, So it's analyse, so logical, technical, analytical, mathematical, problem solving, and B, organise, administrative, organisational, conservative, controlled, and planning. So guys have a tendency to be very good at A and B, the analyse and the organise, and not so good with the senses and exploration. And that's an imbalance of the brain. And where it differs is where you get artists and musicians and things like that. They're way more balanced because they are using those creative sort of avenues as well. And they tend to be more in balance than most guys. I'm going to actually have a bite of this now. Bit dry. But it's free, so I'm going to eat it. Trying to swallow your mouthful. That's cut. This is from Space Goods. They do. This is a cup that I got with a load of mushroom powders, mushroom blends, which you'll find in like health food shops and stuff. Space Goods is actually quite an expensive one. There are a lot of other brands, such as Lee Folson's. She's local in Cornwall. She's a yoga teacher down in Penzance. And it says in it, but the cup says the creative pursuit of a greater self. It's a good message, one that I'm trying to achieve and will achieve. Thursday, I had a bit of so it was a really wet day. My feet suffered for it, although I had all waterproofs on my feet, bearing in mind I'm lugging around a massive pack. And I got back to the Sally Army and asked Captain Karen if I could use the shower, which she was absolutely fine with. I take all my own stuff, essential oil, soap bars, and my own towel and everything else. 27 minutes, okay, try and be quick. So I told you loads to get through. So I had a shower, came out, fresh clothes on, and there's a guy there, and I will mention his name just in case anything untoward happens to me, called Ricky. And I remember Ricky back in 2007 when I first started in the police. But he is definitely a substance abuser, misuser, and he said, one more word from you and I'm going to bang you out. And bearing in mind I'd just done a lot of exercise, I'd been up very early in the morning, and I'm a wise old owl, I'm a yogi, you know, a peaceful way if I can, and conflict resolution is something that I'm good at. So, also a martial artist, so he wouldn't have banged me out, but anyway, so I just smiled at him, and bearing in mind he said one more word, I got several more words in, and I said, I'm just going to go. I'm like, I was just coming back to say thanks to Karen for having a shower, and I'm on my way. And that was it. Just job done. No point in getting, what did I have to gain from that? Absolutely nothing, apart from probably more interaction with the police, lots of witnesses around. That would have just been ridiculous. It would have served no purpose for me whatsoever. So that was it. Right, teeth. That was something I will go into that one. I talked to the young woman, college student, about teeth. I asked if she eats meat, and she said yes. And I said, okay. I said, I'm vegan apart from egg and stuff like that because of the protein content. And I said, the human body isn't actually designed to eat meat. And she was just like, but we've got canines. And I said, yeah, we do, but we've got small canines, it's plant stripping. And I pointed out, I said, if you think of cheetahs or leopards, they have large canines, and that's for stripping. I use the word meat rather than flesh, but that's for stripping meat, not not as our teeth are designed for, which is to strip plants. We're plant eaters, we're herbivores. We're not meant to eat meat. Our bodies aren't designed for it. It's to do with the intestines, the intestinal tract. They're a lot longer, they process meat differently. So basically, as soon as something's killed, slaughtered, it's already dead, it's dying, it's decaying, and then you're actually putting that decaying piece of flesh, meat, whatever you want to call it, into your body. And that is not actually what your body's designed to do. Just my thoughts. I'm not being judgmental, it's everyone's own choice, and I've had some amazing steaks in the past, so I can't really comment on that. What I will say is I'll never eat meat again, or fish. Just not a living thing. Plants live as well, but I've got to eat something. Angles. Oh, let's go on to eating, sorry. So, overeating. I can be a bit... choose my words. Things just fall out of my mouth sometimes, and like the word fat, for example. I don't mean anything bad by that, but basically overeating or extreme overeating is a form of self-harm for some people. It's a coping mechanism for stress, and they'll pick up something, a comfort food, something they like to eat, and just keep going, you know. The reason I wrote that down is because on Thursday, this was on whatever day it was. This was on Friday when I was on a wander around. There were several obese people, there's no other nice word for it, obese people sat down, panting for breath, eating, basically, and not in the best state of health, and clearly overindulging, and that then leads on to lethargy and the inability to move your body, and it's a bit of a bad cycle to be in. It's not healthy for you. I'm not being judgmental, but that's inviting diabetes. Exercise is good for you. It's my thing, yoga, and my unique yoga concept, which in my opinion is the best form of yoga, but then I'm going to be biased, I've said that before, but it is. And I just need to get my YTT done, so I play ball, and I've already met the people who can get this out there into the world for me, and that will help a lot of people deal with stress, anxiety, PTSD, lots of other things. It incorporates yoga, breath work, dancing, martial arts. Take the work out of breath work. That's the way I look at it. Right, I've wrote angles here. Sex pillows, I'm a tantric sexuality teacher, so let's touch a little bit on that. So the magic number is 27 degrees. There's a 27 degree angle to hit the sweet spot, the G spot basically. And now this tends to be a female dominated area, entrepreneurs who lead the way. And because I'm male, it's almost like a little bit of a unconscious bias against males. I'm not being judgmental about that in any way, but you think like Ann Summers and people like that, people are used to seeing that on the high street, and when a guy talks about it, it's just like, so I chatted with the NHS staff at the Sally Army about this the other day, and they just their both jaws just hung down. They were like, I was like, it's I said it's actually perfectly healthy thing to be able to talk about sex. It's and a healthy sex life. So I did, in one of my books, it's up there, sex pillows. I wanted to get this right. There are numerous companies like Love Honey in the UK and people like that who actually deal with this. And you can go online, you can find loads of stuff, and they'll deliver to your house. But I'll put it at the bottom somewhere. Oh, there we go. So the number one sex pillow in the UK at the moment is, again, obviously by a woman, and she's called Sophia Lee, and she's from a company called Sensello, and it's the UK's number one sex pillow of 2026, and it's designed for longer sessions and more pleasure, and it's got a 4.8 star rating. Well, that sounds fantastic in my book, right? 1,200 plus verified reviews. And a quote from her: "Explore new positions, engage in longer sessions, and deepen your connection with your partner." That sounds bloody amazing, doesn't it? Endless positions and angles. And so geometry and sacred geometry is something I'm into. It's what that is. If they explain geometry in school to teenage lads that angles will help your sex life, that's going to get their attention. I'd have paid more attention. Anyway, that sex pillow, 50% off, £79.99. I'm not getting any affiliate links, don't do that. But that's what it is at the moment. If you buy one, there's up to a 65% discount if you buy four. Have a chat with your friends, see if more of you want to get in on it and get the discount. That's probably about, drink drive limits. South Africa, zero tolerance. It is a 0%, whereas here you can blow 35. They won't prosecute until 40, but you can blow 35. I have gone over, but there's a lot to cover. So drink drive limits, South Africa lead the way. 0% tolerance to it. Now that would solve a lot of problems in the UK, as you know. I've talked about it before. I'm non-judgmental about it, but I do not like alcohol because it leads to poor choices by people. Simple, it really does. And who can you really trust in this world? Just yourself. But when you're intoxicated, you probably can't even do that. And it leads to a lot of misdiscretions and a lot of hurt. So that's why I'm dead against it. I don't want to see people make the same mistake that I did and have a drink drive. So South Africa, they have a zero tolerance to it. I don't drink anymore, never will. I'm happy to be a designated driver, however, so with the tunes banging, non-judgmental of people who want to. But makes perfect sense. It would save the NHS money, it would save the police money dealing with KSIs, killed and seriously injured on the roads, and it would help and benefit with mental health services, lots of different things. And this is why I infiltrated Falmouth Town Council to get to Jane Kirkham MP for Falmouth and Truro, which I did get to try and discuss this, and she ran away, and the British government will not talk to me about this. But there you go. That was my plan for a consultancy fee. Anyway, 38 minutes. I'd say that will probably do for now. It's probably enough for you to deal with. But have a really good one. Sun's out. It's the Shanty Festival in Falmouth today. So once I've had something to eat, I'll finish that actually. And then later on, I'll have something else. Then I'll go to Spoons. I'll get this uploaded. And then I'll have a meander around the Shanty Festival. But have a great day, and hopefully you're doing something fun. So namaskar, people. Bad boy of yoga out.